Hi everyone, welcome back to Lion and Lamb Ministry series on the book of Revelation, section 1, the churches. This is episode 14 in our 15-part series. Okay, tonight we're going to be talking about the promises to Sardis and Philadelphia, the end, which relates to the end of David's reign, and the beginning of Solomon's. Stay tuned, it's good stuff. Man, has this been a terrific series with so much response. You guys are terrific. You guys are terrific. So much words of encouragement. Look, we've had, opposition because these ideas have been, old ideas die hard. Okay, old notions die hard. But in the light of the truth, there's really nowhere left for them to stand. Okay, here we go. The fifth, Sardis. Now, okay, here is another reference to the times of David. Not the beginning of his reign, but the end of it. It is a double promise, negative and positive, and both have to do with the names of individuals. So here it is from Revelation 3:5. I will not blot out his name out of the book of life, but I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels. The reference is to the last words of David in 2 Samuel 23. These last words of David were uttered as he was about to give up the throne and the kingdom to Solomon, when the conflict was to end and issue in dominion and in a reign of peace, foreshadowing the time when this promise of Revelation 3:5 is about to be fulfilled and the apocalyptic judgments are about to issue in millennial glories. I will not blot out his name. I will confess his name. So runs the double promise. And it is exactly what we see in the history which is thus referred to. David is confessing the names of his guys, and the confessing of them begins, "These be the names of the mighty men whom David had," in 2 Samuel 23:8. They had gathered themselves to him in the day of his rejection. Although he had been anointed as king, he was not as yet sitting on his throne, but was in a cave named Adulum, or the place of testimony. Adulum means their testimony. They had gone to him in their distress and debt and bitterness of soul, as we are told in 1 Samuel 22, 1-2. And David became a captain over them. They had followed him through all his conflicts, and now on the eve of the era of glory and peace, their names are confessed before all. Their deeds are announced, and their exploits are recorded. But there are some who are blotted out. Joab is not there, though Abishai, the brother of Joab, is there in 2 Samuel 23:18. Asahel, the brother of Joab, Nahari, armor bearer to Joab, is there in verse 37, but not Joab himself. He was a mighty man. He had been the commander-in-chief of David's forces, valiant soldier, great statesman, wise counselor. But while he was all this and more, he was not an overcomer, for his heart was not right with David. He remained loyal when Absalom rebelled, but he took part in the treason of Adulum. Ahithophel is not there, though we read of Avilian, the son of Ahithophel. Verse 34, he was David's greatest counselor, so wise that when he spoke, it was as if a man had inquired at the oracle of God. So says 2 Samuel 16:23. But he was not an overcomer, and he is not confessed even before men. He took sides with Absalom in his rebellion, and he is blotted out from this list of names. Abiathar too is blotted out, for not even is his name here. He was David's beloved friend. We see that in 1 Samuel 22, 20-23, but he was not an overcomer. He remained loyal in the treason of Absalom, but joined in that of Adonijah. The other names are all confessed. The scene is unspeakably solemn and has by application a warning voice for all. But by interpretation, it comes with special force in this promise to the assembly at Sardis and refers to the fulfillment of Matthew 10:32-33 and Luke 12:8-9. Whosoever therefore shall confess me before men, him will I confess also before my Father which is in heaven. But whosoever shall deny me before men, him will I also deny before my Father which is in heaven. Thus this promise in Revelation refers not only to that solemn past scene in Israel's history with David, but it is shown to be closely connected with the four Gospels and points on to the scenes of final judgment and glory in connection with David's Lord and a greater Solomon. All right, the sixth one, Philadelphia. This refers to Solomon, as also does the seventh in Laodicea. In Philadelphia, the reference is to the temple and to the city, while in Laodicea, it is to the throne. The promise says in Revelation 3:12, here it is, him that overcometh will I make a pillar in the temple of my God, and he shall go no more out. And I will write upon him the name of my God, and the name of the city of my God, which is New Jerusalem, which cometh down out of heaven from my God, and my new name. The reference here to Solomon is unmistakable. It was Solomon who built the temple and put in its porch those mysterious pillars named Jachin and Boaz. In 1 Kings 8:13-22, we read this. And he set up the pillars in the porch of the temple, and he set up the fight pillar, and called the name thereof Jachin. For example, he shall establish. And he set up the left pillar, and called the name thereof Boaz. In it is strength. Strength and permanence were thus announced to all who entered that wondrous temple. The temple of God is brought in this epistle to Philadelphia into contrast with the synagogue of Satan. And those were of the latter who say they are Jews and are not. That synagogue has neither strength nor permanence, but the overcomers are given divine strength and will have eternal inheritance, for they shall go no more out. Now there's more. The promise refers to the name of the overcomer being written in the city of my God. There can be only one interpretation to this promise. Anyone familiar with Old Testament phraseology will at once go back in memory to Psalms 87. Here's what Psalm 87 says. Let's turn to it. Psalm 87. His foundation is in the holy mountains. The Lord loveth the gates of Zion more than all the dwellings of Jacob. Glorious things are spoken of thee, O city of God. Selah. I will make mention of Rahab and Babylon to them that know me. Behold, Philistia and Tyre with Ethiopia. This man was born there, and of Zion it shall be said, this and that man was born in her, and the highest himself shall establish her. The Lord shall count when he writeth up the people that this man was born there. Selah. As well the singers as the players on instruments shall be there. All my springs are in thee. A description of the city of God. And those who are the subjects of the promise will have a blessed knowledge of what it will mean to be written in the city of my God. The promise of Revelation 3:12 refers to the New Jerusalem. If the city of David and Solomon was such that glorious things were spoken of it as the city of God, what will be the glories of the city which cometh down out of heaven from my God? And what will be the blessing of Zion and Jerusalem, when, as written in Isaiah 62:1, the righteousness thereof shall go forth as brightness, and the salvation thereof as a lamp that burneth. Then it is that the promise is given, that thou shalt be called by a new name, which the mouth of the Lord shall name. Amen. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that wonderful? And that is the end of episode 14.